this case, that was level. Most of the time that doesn't happen. You know, here's something level. It looks something like this. You know, most iron shots, you know, I'm hitting down on the ball. The ball's getting hit back here. Lowest point somewhere in the ground below this target line. You know, where the ball, you know, the angle to this circle of where the ball is. And now this new bottom vector, well gosh, this is going to be tangent to that direction. This looks this way. Now that's pretty clear that this new, you know, bottom vector of that triangle is down and to the right. You know, it's not just level and to the right. This is down and to the right. Hopefully everybody can see that. Just the opposite. Let's say I hit up on my driver. I got the ball on the tee. And here's my hula hoop. You know, this was a little bit harder to show, but you know, I would have to have this thing up in the air a little bit. And now tangent to this direction, now this is going to be slightly up in the air and to the left. Right? If this is level to the ground, if I hit the ball up here somewhere, tangent to up here, here's my club path going off to the left. This is going to help explain why if you hit shots and you're hitting down on them, if you want this ball to go straight, you better turn this whole piece a little bit to the left so that now as I'm going down on this thing, I can get this down part to be directly on this target line. It's not going to be level, except maybe a 3 would. I've got to turn this a little bit to try and get this thing pointed down, but on this level. Obviously just the opposite going up. You know, if I'm swinging up on the ball, I need to turn this a little bit to the right so that this up part becomes above the target. But I'm swinging a little to the right. I'm just hitting it beyond the lowest point of the swing. Only when the level point, or when the ball is hit at the lowest point of the swing, is the direction the club path is moving equaling the three-dimensional direction the club path is going. You know, where it's going depends on the angle we're hitting down on and the direction the circle is pointed at. So you got to keep all that straight in your head. Club face controls the top vector piece. Club path, three-dimensional club path. Where the ball's hit relative to the low point in the swing. If you're hitting down on it, this bottom vector is going to point down, and if you're hitting up on it, this bottom part is going to point up a little bit. Now there's a lot of discussion as to, well, there's different amounts of the ball starting relative to the face. Some people say it's 60%, some people say it's 80%, or whatever the case may be. The thing that makes that part a little confusing is this piece right here. Depending on where these vectors are pointing, the closer they get together, you know, granted I've got one that's a level lie and some lofted iron, maybe a 6 iron or something. You know, if I've got a driver with a little bit of loft and I'm hitting up on it, you know, this thing would not look like a right triangle anymore. It would look like a sliver of these two pieces. So that when I spread them apart, the ball actually starting is going to be, you know, obviously between where the face is and where the bottom vector is. The closer this bottom vector gets to the loft, the closer the ball starts to where the path is. The face is still the overriding piece, but the bigger the spread, the more the ball starts closer to the face. And I'm sure you can see that. If I cut this triangle right off, and now I've got a vector that's pointing up some amount, that path now is closer to this line. So maybe the percentages seem a little closer to 50-50. Well, they're only 50-50 because the bottom vector and the top vector are so close to each other. the more they get apart, the closer it is to where the actual face is pointed. Speed also plays a role. The faster the ball is going, or faster the club's going, plays a little bit of role as to how much face versus how much, or how close it starts to the face versus the path. The amount of friction between the ball and the club face plays a role. The more these two spread apart because of friction, the much energy is lost during the strike. The more these will spread out, and that'll change the relationship. But again, you've got to remember, we're looking down on this thing. So if I've got just a little bit of tilt on here, here I'm going to line up the top edge with this edge of this table. Between the top edge and this line as I look down on it, it's about right here. Here's the line where I had the face pointed, but the actual ball start is just slightly inside of that. Well, here's my face, here's my start, here's my path. That's pretty darn close to almost exactly where the face is pointed. So, if I had this cut off, and now the path is here, the ball starts here and face is here, you can see that relationship gets a little bit closer to something else. But it's always going to be closer to the face. So, I hope this clears up a lot about how this D-plane works. And again, if you got questions, check me out, JohnGrahamGolf.com, and we'll talk to you later.